This is Mercy Pilkington for Good E-Reader at Digital Book World, speaking right now with Deborah Forte from Scholastic, who has just finished a very intriguing panel on children's content and what publishers need to keep in mind. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how Storia has grown? I know you mentioned in your platform that you were most impressed that it worked through the schools, and that probably had a lot to do with the curated content that parents are accustomed to trusting from Scholastic. So how has this ebook platform grown?
Well, we talked a lot about platforms in the panel, but the platform has to be informed by the business model. And our business model is really around selling curated children's books. We partner with the teacher, we support the teacher, and the teacher supports us because we both have the same goal, which is really promoting a love for reading. And so if we can help the teacher get her kids reading for pleasure, they're going to read better for school. And so they support us, we support them. Storia is a platform that really engages the child. It involves the parent and teacher in the process because there's a dashboard for them where they can see what the kids are reading and how much they're reading. And we also allow our audiences to discover books, which is a huge topic of conversation at this conference. In these big digital ecosystems, on all of these screens, on all of these devices, how are kids discovering books? How are parents buying books and finding the right book for their child? We think a lot about connecting the right book with a child, not any book, because you know when you do that, you have the chance of building a lifelong reader. And so that's what all of us as children's publishers want to do, create a culture of readers. And we actually believe that digital provides a host of new opportunities to do that with the tools available to us going on these platforms, in these digital ecosystems. It allows you to personalize the experience for kids, which you can't do in a bookstore and you can't do in a print book. Kids read books different ways. In the Storia platform, we allow them to read books differently. The same child might read a Goosebumps book very differently than a classmate of theirs. The interactivity we can offer within the book on a digital platform is not present in a print book. So there are a host of tools available to us to engage the child, involve the parent, and support the teacher in that process.
As a classroom teacher myself, one of the issues that I struggle with is finding the funding for even a classroom library, let alone a school library. So how has basically the growth of ebooks for children actually helped support the education, not just the pleasure reading for students?
Well, I think they're tied together. It's very hard to make a child read a book. You can do it, but they're tied together. So if you get a child to like to read, which is the first step, get them comfortable with books, excited about reading and books, then you're going to build a reader. And that's really what we want to do. And we do that in concert with the school. And part of it is the experience, and part of it is selecting the book, and part of it relates to price as well. So all of those things play a factor in the value proposition that we're presenting to parents. But what digital allows us to do is to reconsider the value perception of children's books and the value proposition, and I talked about that yesterday.
Right. At the first onset of the emergence of e-readers, of course, we were finding the e-ink devices, that people were using these dedicated e-readers. Initially, there wasn't a lot of children's content because parents didn't want to hand over the devices, their tablets and such, once they came along. And then now that the price has dropped, we're seeing that kind of change and go by the wayside. So now there's been a boom in children's publishing. In your panel just now, you were talking about some of the brand discoverability and the ways that parents are having to look for this great content. So what would be one of the best ways that parents can find engaging content on their children's level?
They should go to places that offer curation, because I think that is a problem in terms of discoverability. The large digital ecosystems don't really curate the content. So if you have a fourth grader, you're not really interested in looking through lots of product shots of books or products for first graders or 10th graders. You want to find just the right product, and digital allows you to do that. In Storia, we're really working on much more personalization and customization, including in recommendations based on real reading rather than just purchasing data.
Thank you so much for your time. Again, this is Mercy Pilkington for Good E-Reader and Digital Book World.